Peace, everybody. Just kind of doing a word study here, applying my thoughts to some of these words that are being thrown around, such as pedophile, which is when you break the word down, pedo revolves around children, and phile or phile, meaning love or lover of. And so a pedophile is supposed to be a lover of children, and this whole NAMBLA thing is too much. It's like we got to deal with that. I mean, now what's going on with what Bambaataa doing uh, is more pedosodomy because he's not loving children. This is not an act of love. What he did, he's doing like he went over there to Africa and came back with buck breaking. Like it's almost like they taught him how to come back to his community and break all the bucks in the community. It's pedosodomy. He's sodomizing the children. He's not having loving relationships with children in the so-called definitions of NAMBLA, which I do not approve of. But I do want to bring to example and bring to mind the case of Woody Allen and his daughter, his adopted. They adopted a lovely young lady and they raised her up, and then he divorced his wife and he married his adopted daughter. He changed the status from adopted to wife, and it was a huge controversy. Back then, he waited until she was of age, but there were allegations of how he was dealing with her as a child. Like they started to look back at the formation of the relationship and the grooming. The other aspect of pedophilia, this was a pedophile. He wanted to garner a relationship with this young lady. The other aspect would be some of the religions that say, oh, once a girl comes of age via her cycle, that she's eligible to engage in certain contracts. And so, some Hebrew Israelites and other groups also, even more African-centered groups, also deal in that, and can also be classified as pedophilia because the person is trying to engage in a relationship with a young person that is not of age. And when you have the age discussion itself, there's people that follow the hormonal or the so-called natural methodology, and there's those who follow and abide by the state laws on maturity and coming of age. So that in itself is another conversation, but I really just wanted to point out the difference, unfortunately, that I even have to be telling people the differences between these things because none of them is fruitful. They're all wicked. But I'm trying to understand because it's like the slave master used buck breaking, right? So if the slave master used buck breaking and then Bambaataa's using buck breaking, like where did they get this technology from? And what's really going on here? You got to look at the bigger picture. Who's being victimized in the pedosodomy? This guy, his name is Africa Bambaataa. He's claiming to be African, and then he's sodomizing youth that haven't even had a chance to self-identify themselves.